This is Horror Sucks, the podcast where we watch horror movies and tell you whether or not they suck. I'm Ashley, your resident star of Hocus Pocus 2.
And I'm Carter, and I was incorrect last week when I said that we would be watching Spirit Halloween. Ashley, would you care to explain why that is?
Okay, listen. When I pulled it up on my phone to suggest it, actually, we didn't even say we were going to watch Spirit Halloween on the podcast. We said we were going to watch...
I had to go back and edit it in post.
That's even better. Well, I thought it's out. It's available to be watched, but I didn't realize it's not available to be streamed yet until later this week. So
Ashley kept saying, no, it says you can stream it on Roku. I bring my Roku downstairs, we plug it in, we get it set up. Finally, we can't get it working, so finally I Google it. And what Ashley was reading was the first link on Google, which says, stream Spirit Halloween on Roku, parentheses, full trailer. I'm not interested in seeing the full trailer, or even part of the trailer. I wanted to see the movie, which Ashley neglected to discover comes out October 11th.
I thought it was the full movie. I wasn't setting you up to be like, haha, joke's on you. Like, I was disappointed as well. I led us astray, and I take full credit for that, but I wasn't playing a joke on you. It's not like I was trying to put you through it.
It hurts nevertheless.
It hurts me too.
Anyways, so today we are reviewing X, which came out earlier this year. I had wanted to see it, but we didn't quite have the infrastructure for this podcast off the ground.
Yeah.
And
now we're getting around to it.
Yeah.
Happy about it.
Mm-hmm. For those of you who are just listening for the first time, the way that we do this is we are going to tell you the plot of the movie. There will be spoilers. We're going to give you some fun facts, some fun background stuff. We're going to tell you what we liked, what we didn't like, and what we found spooky about the movie. And then we're going to give you our overall thoughts, give you the best line of the movie, and if there's any time, we'll tell you what we're watching next week. So, you ready for me to take us away on the plot?
Absolutely.
Okay, excellent. So the movie opens with a bunch of cops just kind of looking over this deserted farmhouse. There's bodies everywhere, and someone calls them to go into the basement. And while he's down there, he's like, oh my God. And then it cuts to 24 hours earlier, and it didn't show what it was. So the movie takes place in 1979, and it follows a group of people, Maxine, Wayne, Bobby Lynn, and Jackson. They're all wannabe porn stars, and they're looking to cash in on the adult film market, which I believe at this point in history had not quite been established. They meet up with RJ and Lorraine, who are amateur video recorders. RJ is the director, and Lorraine does sound stuff. She's played by Jenna Ortega. So they ended up renting a guest house way out in rural Texas. And they go there, and they have a weird interaction with the homeowner, who seems to have forgotten that people were coming at all. But once he points an unloaded gun at them, but once that's settled, they move into the guest house and almost immediately start filming the movie The Farmer's Daughters, which is about Jackson, a man just driving around. His car breaks down. He goes to a farm, has sex with the farmer's daughter, goes into the barn, has sex with the other farmer's daughter. By the way, there's going to be a lot of sex in this movie. If you're our parents or family, I recommend not listening to this episode.
Yeah, good idea.
So, while they're filming, Maxine ends up meeting the farmer, the real farmer, not the porn farmer's wife, Pearl. And Pearl's very strange.
Yeah, I guess strange is a good way to put it.
She seems very drawn by Maxine, who, by the way, it's worth noting, Maxine, her boyfriend, describes her as having something special, in his words, an X factor, which I believe is where this movie gets its title from. It's also a reference to an X-rated movie. So Pearl watches them record the porn and gets really turned on by it and tries to get the old guy to have sex with her, but he's like, my heart can't take it. And eventually Lorraine decides she wants in on it, which they had to have known it's not a very smart idea to dive right into that after listening to a cover of Landslide by Jackson Hole, that's literally his character's name, and Bobby Lynn. So that's kind of it, is Lorraine has sex with Jackson, and then people start to die. RJ gets angry at this. He goes to drive off, and the woman tries to convince him to have sex with her. And he's like, no, ma'am. And then she stabs him in the throat.
It's less transactional than have sex with me. She tries to like hug him and then won't let go. And he's like, whoa, lady, what the heck are you doing? And then she stabs him.
Mm-hmm. So then she starts just kind of tracking down everybody. Lorraine gets up to look for RJ, and she wakes, what's his name? Wayne. Wayne is just like in a just Speedo style underwear.
Whitey tighty.
But like the tightest.
It is kind of, yeah.
Whitest. I don't even think it was white. I think it was like
It was a blue.
It was like a velvety material.
They were weird.
Whatever you call that tracksuit you have on, it was like that material.
Yeah, velvet.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think so, but it was definitely like a textured cloth. It wasn't cotton.
So Wayne kind of goes out into the barn looking for someone, for RJ. He steps on a nail. That hurts. He crawls to the wall to look at this hole. There are holes in the wall. They're like being covered up and showing light, which, we can interpret as someone standing there moving. So he's intrigued by that, and he crawls over and gets stabbed through the wall with a pitchfork. Lorraine ends up getting tricked by just the world's oldest man into going into the basement, and he locks her there. But also, he locked her in there with like a bunch of power tools, so she just chopped her way out. So he goes and he gets Jackson to go out with him in the middle of the night to look for gators, basically. And then he shoots Jackson, and that's about that. And then they go back in. Who's left? Bobby Lynn, Lorraine, and Maxine are the remaining people. So Bobby Lynn sees the woman over by the gators because they have a gator pond, and then the woman basically just pushes her in. Maxine escaped while hiding under the bed while they have sex because he decided it was worth it. She frees Lorraine, and Lorraine immediately gets headshot. It was very fast. Then as she's dying, she like spurts blood, and it scares the old man so much that he has a heart attack. And then the old woman gets a shotgun and goes to shoot Lorraine, and its kickback is so powerful that she like breaks her hip. And then Lorraine takes the car and drives over her. We eventually find out that the body, or the thing that the sheriff saw in the beginning, was presumably the previous tenant of the guest house who they're kidnapping for sex purposes because, his heart just can't take sex. I promise you I enjoyed the movie more than I'm making it sound. It was kind of, the plot itself was fairly just chaotic. It's just people went over here, then they went over there, and then they died. I did enjoy it, though. So that's my really shitty plot summary. Ashley, why don't you tell us some fun facts?
All right. So I actually have a decent amount of facts, I think. So this movie was written and directed by Ty West. I didn't really recognize anything else he's done. And it stars Mia Goth as Maxine and Pearl, and she's known for her role in Emma, as well as the prequel to this movie, Pearl. Jenna Ortega as Lorraine, who we've discussed in a previous episode called Scream. And Brittany Snow as Bobby Lynn, who she was most notably in Hairspray and Pitch Perfect. Scott Mescudi, also known as Kid Cudi, and he plays Jackson. This is his horror debut. Martin Henderson as Wayne Gilroy, and he is known for The Ring, and Owen Campbell's RJ Nichols, and didn't know anything he was in. Mm-hmm. I have a lot of facts, but I haven't quite put my thoughts together. Oh, first fact I will share is that there is actually an adult film called The Farmer's Daughters, which was released in 1976, and it's infamous because it starred acclaimed mainstream writer and actor Spalding Gray, who I don't know who that is, but I thought that was interesting that there was actually a movie based off of this.
I believe there is a Sylvester Stallone porno out there.
Interesting.
Yeah. Just while we're talking about famous people in 70s and 80s pornos.
I wouldn't be surprised if there was more we didn't know about.
I feel like we would be able to find it more easily though, but
I'm sure we can find it. I wouldn't be surprised if people use like fake names or something. Anyways.
Faker than like what, Rocky Balboa? Because you know he definitely used that as his name.
Maybe. So the film's title refers to the X rating used by the MPAA from 1968 to 1990, which indicated that films were only suitable for an audience age 16 or older.
16?
Yeah.
So it's more mild than NC-17?
Well, this was pre-MC-17.
Oh, I guess you're right, yeah.
So notable films that originally released with an X rating is A Clockwork Orange, Fritz and the Cat, Last Tango in Paris, Midnight Cowboy, and Sweetback's Badass Song. But in the 70s, the porn industry would end up exploiting the X rating's lack of trademark by releasing pornos in theaters by the same rating, which is pretty funny. But I'm going to stop reading that because it keeps going.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
So, just an interesting thought I had.
Mm-hmm.
The only NC-17 movie I think I've ever seen is Blonde on Netflix.
Okay.
I don't think that deserved to be NC-17. Saw plenty of boob. She pretended to give a blowjob, but that was it. I don't think it deserved an NC-17 rating.
I don't think I've knowingly seen an MC-17 movie.
It's kind of hard to accidentally see one unless you stumble upon it on Netflix.
Got it. So there is a bunch of like fun stuff to this movie though. It was shot in New Zealand.
Oh, interesting.
And currently there is a prequel for this movie called X. And actually the director Ty West revealed during pre-production that he used his time during quarantine, because they had to do a 2-week quarantine before filming. They used that time to write the prequel. And since they were in New Zealand and the sets were already built and he knew he wanted Mia Goth to star in it, they basically shot it right after they finished filming this movie, which is why it's in theaters now. They kind of did it right after each other / simultaneously because editing and whatnot afterwards was simultaneous with X. I thought that was interesting. And we already have a sequel in works called Maxine, and there's 3 X's in Maxine, all capitalized. You feel it? I feel like you want to say something.
Not really. I just don't think it's going to be good.
I don't know. So the name of the gas station in the mini-mart at the beginning of the film is a reference to Ty West's movie The Innkeepers, which was set at the Yankee Peddler Inn. I think that was the name of the store. There is a subtle nod to a scene in When Harry Met Sally when they're talking about the day of the week panties and why there's no pair for Sunday because of God. And Lorraine's character is wearing a pair of Sunday panties while also being labeled church mouse by the crew. That was pretty interesting.
She was so quiet. That's why they called her that.
That and she was a little religious.
I guess so.
Yeah. So several characters' deaths are foreshadowed in various ways. When Bobby Lynn exits the strip club at the beginning of the film, a mural depicts a blonde woman with an alligator pulling her bikini off, which foreshadows Bobby Lynn's death by alligator. Wayne, in conversation with RJ, tells him that people's eyes are going to pop out of their skulls when they see the film, and he later dies by prongs being impaled through his eye sockets. Jackson mentioned several times that he was threatened by farmers with guns while serving in Vietnam, and he's ultimately killed by Howard with a shotgun.
Interesting.
Yeah. The man found in the basement is also seen in missing persons ads on the side of the milk carton when Jackson takes a sip. But, fun fact, missing people were not put on milk cartons until 1984.
Huh.
Yeah, and the movie was set in 1979, so it's a little inaccurate there.
Wasn't the point of that, wasn't it specifically meant for kids?
It was, yes. Yeah, it was meant to bring attention to the fact that there's a lot of missing children. But also one family, actually, there's no actual designated start time. One of my podcasts that I listened to covered it for a short episode, but there's no like official start to who was the first person that did or what. It just kind of started happening, but it was clearly done for children, which is interesting. But yeah. None of the rest of these are really that. I mean, there's the body count is 8, if that's interesting. Oh, actually, okay, we'll end on this one. A common stereotype for horror, which we've discussed, is that sexually active characters are the first to die, and that final girls are almost always virgins, but in this movie, the 2 characters who are never seen having sex do die.
And they die first.
One of them does.
Well, he dies first, and then...
Oh, Wayne, we don't see him having sex.
Right, and then he died second. So.
Yeah, you're right.
I did make a note of that it was neat that all the girls in the movie had sex, so there wasn't really like a final girl.
Yeah.
Per se.
I mean, there was a final girl because she walked away alive.
You know what I mean, though?
Yeah, I do know what you mean.
It was really funny to me, though, that all the girls... What is it? Mia Goth, Heather Snow,
Brittany Snow, and Jenna Ortega.
Yeah, all of them. Mia Goth and Heather Snow.
Brittany Snow.
Mia Goth and Brittany Snow. They both had like long sex scenes, and then Jenna Ortega was like intensely tasteful. Like,
yeah,
she was just in her underwear, and it like zoomed in on the camera and the reflection as she leaned in to kiss him, and that was it.
Yeah, they cut that short, which is nice.
I just thought it was funny how wildly different it was. Like it wasn't like she got a shorter sex scene. It was like you saw
nothing.
Both the other girls pretty much naked, and then Jenna Ortega is just like, I do Disney.
Yeah, that's really what it is.
So, are you ready to talk about the good?
I am.
Okay. The good. Dun, dun, dun. I really liked the cold open of this movie.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't show you any of the bodies. There was nothing you could do to recognize who they were. And when they go to the basement, they don't show what it is. They just show there's something down there. And I have found that's the problem with a lot of movies trying to have some tension is they'll show what will happen and expect people to wonder, how did this happen? But what happened is a much more compelling question.
Oh, yeah. I thought it was really good. And you're absolutely, with the basement, I thought they were going to kind of flash back between what was going on and like what they were finding, and they didn't. Mm-hmm. And I really liked it. Mm-hmm. It did what it aimed to do. It gave a good cold open. Yeah. Set the scene. The
movie opens with this square aspect shot of the inside of the barn looking out at the house, and you see a police car pull up, and it slowly starts to zoom in, and as it passes the barn, the aspect widens, and you can see there's a bunch of cop cars already parked there. That was a really cool scene.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the opening of this movie was, I would say, near perfect. Like, yes. It really was good. Mm-hmm. I was really glad we didn't see what was in the basement until more than halfway through the movie. Mm-hmm. It was
wrapping up.
Yeah, that was like kind of the beginning of the escalation. Mm-hmm. I would say, like, we saw her death and we're like, okay. But then it was like, oh, we got to see what was in the basement. Like, that was, things were finally coming full circle a little bit, which was, I really enjoyed. But yeah, I also really like, there's a scene where we see the sheriff walking across the porch, but we only see the view from his feet, and we kind of see some carnage around them, but like we don't get a lot. But then as they pull up to the house and Wayne goes on the porch, we get the same shot. Mm-hmm. Clean. And I really enjoyed that there was some of that mirroring happening.
I made a note of that, yeah. Mm-hmm.
It was nice. What else did you like?
The cinematography was outstanding. It used light really well. Like, there was that one scene I was talking about where there was the holes in the barn, and one by one the holes were covered up. They were showing moonlight through it. They got covered up. And we got the sense that there was something standing on the other side. That was just done so well. Mm. The basement was lit well in a way that made you think. It like cast a light across the room, and it made you think you were going to see something in the background, and you never did. I enjoyed that. the flickering transitions were interesting. It would like flash back and forth between the next scene before committing.
Only a few times, though. I really liked that it didn't do it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It did it at the right times within the movie.
A lot of it, not always, but a lot of it was thematically consistent. Like, there's one where it's a close-up of this preacher preaching, basically, and it cuts to cows just grazing. Preacher, cows. So it's kind of like saying, you know, the people he's preaching to are like farm animals. I liked it when it was thematically solid like that. Other times it was kind of irrelevant, but it was uncommon enough that it wasn't really a problem.
Mm-hmm.
There's a scene where when RJ is murdered, he's murdered in front of his van, in front of the headlights, and as the woman's stabbing him, blood splashes onto the headlights and they turn red. The light turns red. Just all in all, it was a very good, well shot movie. I liked it quite a bit.
So I'm not gonna lie, with that scene with the car turning red, I assumed that it was blood on the headlights that made it red, right? Like that's a safe assumption. But also, as I was looking at it, I actually don't think that's the case. I think that was just a choice they made to have red headlights because there was no streaking of the blood. It didn't look like.
I think if they actually had blood on it, like if it was actually realistic, it wouldn't be red. I think it would simply be darker.
I think it's more of implied that blood got there and like that's it, but I don't think they actually put blood on it.
It's supposed to be blood, but I think how they shot it was probably with actual red headlights.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. Because to me, I was really trying to figure that out, and I spent a lot of time focusing on that in my mind.
So I think we might have forgotten to mention this in the plot, but throughout the movie, Maxine's called, she's something special. She's an X Factor. And the old woman's like particularly obsessed with catching her and having sex with her. And she herself says, I don't know what it is about this girl, but like, I really want her.
She's special.
Yeah. And at the end, it's revealed that the preacher that's been playing pretty much everywhere they go is an old recording, and it's her father, Maxine's father. And he's like, look, like the devil has stolen my daughter. She's been led to a life of sin. And
like reveals a picture of her. I don't know. To be honest, I was very unfazed by that reveal.
I liked it because it wasn't like, it didn't reveal much. It just kind of revealed a little bit more about her character.
I guess.
And recontextualized where a lot of her sayings were coming from when she's like, I will not accept the life I do not deserve.
And that's something the preacher kept saying. Listen, I think it was something, I'm glad they told us, because if they didn't, I think some things would have felt disconnected. Mm-hmm. But in my opinion, it also established her as the main character.
Yeah. Like, up until that point, it was kind of following everyone. You weren't really sure who was the main character. And
oh, I knew she was the main character.
I mean, it followed Bobby Lynn and Lorraine just as much.
During the horror scenes and stuff. Yeah, but it's just the way they framed her and the way that she walked away from the wreckage, the way that Pearl took interest in her. I knew she was the main character.
What do you mean walked away from the wreckage?
Maxine didn't die. She got out.
What wreckage are you talking about?
The house. When Jenna Ortega's character is killed, then Howard dies, then she kills, then what's-her-face dies too. Like, they're all dead around her feet.
Yeah, when the movie's literally ending.
Right.
What about that? What?
I'm saying that, because she walked away, she is the main character.
Yeah, I figured that, but
the reveal of her being the daughter was after that.
But I know that. I'm not confused about that.
This moment established she was the main character.
She was the survivor. It made it just recontextualized her role in the story, is all I'm saying.
Okay, I honestly really didn't think much of it.
Okay, there was no wreckage in the movie, by the way. It was that the house was just the same as when they arrived.
Okay, I was thinking of just dead bodies she was walking over as wreckage, okay? Like sorry.
Crashed cars.
Like crushed people. I don't freaking...
People aren't wreckage.
Okay, well, clearly we have different thoughts on that.
The dialogue was really good throughout the movie.
Yes.
They were all pretty entertaining. They all spoke kind of funny, but like they had weird ways of speaking. But it was like charming.
Yeah, because they all were from this. They were from the South and had Southern accents. Yep. Anything you say with a Southern accent is charming.
No, but what they were saying was charming too. They're like when they just call her Church Mouse because she's quiet. I don't know. It was just like something that you don't hear that a lot, but it just was well.
That is true. It was good. I also just there's another when Harry Met Sally reference.
Yeah, when she started moaning.
When she faked an orgasm in bed.
What do you mean there's another? Was there a first when Harry Met Sally reference?
Yes, I said it in my thing when she wears the Sunday panties.
Oh, that was when Harry Met Sally? Oh,
yes, yeah. You missed
I didn't hear what the movie was that you said.
That's okay. So that's two references for Harry Met Sally now.
I gotta see when Harry Met Sally.
You've never seen it?
No, I haven't.
Oh, it's a great movie.
I know I read the plot online because I was curious. It seemed kind of lame, to be honest.
The plot, okay, yes. Okay, but reading the plot, obviously, you're like, oh, okay, like, whatever, versus actually watching this charming story about real life, this real relationship between these two people who just kind of pass each other parallelly. It's...
Okay.
Stunning. Anyways, not the point.
There was some symbolism.
Yes.
The symbolism in the movie was done really well. Like thematically, what was happening in the porno was happening in the house. What's her name? Bobby Lynn is having sex with Jackson, and she's like, if my dad comes back, there's no telling what he'll do if he sees us like this. And then while that's happening, Maxine is talking to the old woman, and she's talking about desire, beauty, weird stuff. She's like, reaches out and touches Maxine because she's scantily clad, and then what's his name? The old
Howard.
man.
Then Howard comes home and she's like, you gotta go. Yeah. You can't see us together.
It didn't make sense in the story. But yeah, so it lined up like that, interestingly, in some parts. There was a black rooster. Mm-hmm. Do you get that?
Yes. Yes, I do.
It's like a black cock. Do you get it?
Yeah, I do. More than one.
I only saw the one. And lastly, the cows cut with the preacher that I was telling you about.
Yep. Yes. So I really liked the themes of the movie, which is something we normally don't talk to, but...
There aren't any themes whatsoever.
That's a good point.
The last one I remember us talking about was Nope, because it actually had themes.
You're right. This had really great themes about sex positivity, and there was like a religious theme. There was like all kinds of different... I don't really have much to expand upon it, but I really liked mainly how sex positive it was, and how it was very... even though it was a main plot of the movie, it wasn't so radicalized. Like, it was very straightforward. Mm-hmm. Yes, they were making a porno, but it wasn't a huge deal. And it was kind of a major plot point to the couple, that why they were causing problems. But again, it just wasn't presented in a negative way, I think.
I really didn't pick up on any of that sex positivity. I felt like they were when they were showing the old man and the woman having sex, I felt like they were going out of their way to show sex as this like gross thing. It seemed, I mean, everyone who had sex died except for Maxine. I didn't pick up on any sex positivity. I didn't really feel
they have a whole scene after singing Landslide about how sex is this wonderful thing. That was explaining it to Lorraine.
That wasn't like how great it was. They had some weird sayings. She's like, you can control who you love, you can't control who you're attracted to. That's just a butchering of a very common saying.
Yeah, that was dumb.
It was like that. I picked up on that was supposed to be almost a little silly that they were talking about it like that.
I don't know. I just took it as being sex positive. I think that's where I want to believe it landed.
Okay.
I do have to agree with you, though, when the old couple did have sex, that was like a negative thing because it made us uncomfortable.
Yeah, it was meant to make us uncomfortable.
I realize that. But like the other scenes weren't meant to make us uncomfortable. And also the way RJ talked about the film, like he was, going on about how he was going to make a good, dirty film. It's, I don't know.
Also, keep in mind that there were 6 people who went in there with the plans on a bunch of them having sex, and like when Jenna Ortega decided she wanted in on it, like immediately hurt his feelings.
Okay.
Immediately, like
fair, but it's not because. But that was more so.
It's literally because she had sex. It literally is because of that.
Yes, but it wasn't because she was having sex in general. It's because she wanted to have sex with someone that wasn't him on camera.
Okay.
There's a different sort of line being crossed there.
Okay. Well, just from my perspective, I'm not saying it was like sex negative or anything, but I just didn't pick up on a sex positivity.
Okay.
The costumes were great. Very 1970s.
Yes.
Don't have much to add. They were just pretty cool.
The makeup, on the other hand, I thought was pretty good. Mm-hmm. The 1970s makeup, yes, but then also the prosthetic makeup that they used for Mia Goth to turn her into an old, creepy-looking woman was, I will say, good.
I was going to say terrible. I have it in my bad.
Well, she's supposed to look terrible.
She doesn't look terrible. The makeup looks terrible. She looks like a young... Like, I was watching it and I was like, why didn't they cast an old person? Like, you could tell that she was a young woman wearing old person makeup.
I think that was more so her mannerisms and her voice rather than the makeup.
It was absolutely her makeup. I looked at the makeup and thought, this is some shitty old people makeup. Don't try to, like, push me to another argument.
I'm not going to push you on it. You have your firm opinion. It's wrong, and that's fine.
We're going to post a picture of what Pearl looked like, and everyone's going to go, Jesus Christ, Ashley thought this was what old people look like? Has she ever seen an old person before?
Yes, I have!
I bet you've never seen an old person before. Ever in your life.
You're right. After they hit 75, I no longer talk to them.
You can't see them. They turn invisible.
You're right.
So...
I have this picture with my great-grandmother, in air quotes, but it's only me and my brother. I don't get it.
Yeah, you're gone. It's vampire rules. So we ready to talk about the bad?
Wait, I didn't even finish talking about my list.
Talk about the good.
No, that's it.
Oh my god.
Sorry. Go ahead. Yes, the bad. The bad. I'll start. The plot.
Okay, can I start actually? The old people makeup. It's terrible. I'm gonna show you a picture, and you're gonna tell me, no, that looks fine, Carter. Trust me. That looks like makeup.
Have you ever seen an old person?
Yes, I've seen an old person. I know that has the characteristics of an old person, but look how plasticky her skin is.
Okay, I will agree the skin looked a little plasticky.
She's just so clearly a young person in makeup that it drives me crazy.
But I really liked, the age spots were perfection, as well as the placement of the wrinkles.
Kidney or liver spots on her. That's nothing. That's
literally what the makeup is.
No.
Yes.
No. Makeup is a lot more complex than that. They didn't just throw wrinkles around her mouth and put liver spots on her forehead and say, there, she's old.
No, she's a full prosthetic face, and it looks shiny.
It looks terrible, yeah. So let's talk about the plot.
The plot, I felt like there was 2 very different storylines going on. Mm-hmm. And it was the young people filming a porno and the old people discussing how they can't have sex. And the woman getting mad about it, so mad about it that she kills people. Mm-hmm. Like, it really felt so disconnected when they started killing people. I just still, like, sit there and I'm like, but why? Mm-hmm. I know she killed the first guy because he rejected her, but I still sit there and like, why did they kill them all? I guess what? So no one would see it. But then they also had someone locked in their basement, so it's clearly
they've been doing it before,
right? Yes, they clearly have been killing people for a while. We were just never given any insight as to why, and that therefore it just felt very confusing to me. And I guess like it's not necessarily important that the killer has a backstory as to why they kill people, because that can be the reason, but it just felt so disconnected with this very plot-heavy movie.
They were just portrayed as, like, generic sex fiends. It was very boring after such an intense setup. They're just like, oh yeah, they're people who want to have sex, and they happen to be old. It was kind of a letdown.
Yeah.
I agree that just the second half of the movie was very much a letdown from the first.
The first half of the movie, I was really interested.
Same. Like,
it
was awesome.
It was so cool kind of getting some insight into how this film was being made and all of that. And I was like, this could be really cool. I want to see like how they die. Like it was interesting. And then the second half was just like, what the heck did I just watch? Like I already said, I'm watching two different movies here. Very disappointing.
Yeah. The body in the basement where he's like, you're going to want to see the sheriff, was not appropriate for the amount of buildup they gave it. It was just another body.
It was just hanging from the basement.
Yeah, it wasn't even like a grisly torture dungeon or anything. It was just a body that was hanging up. And so I was pretty let down when that was the realization.
Excuse me. If Jenna Ortega's body was also in the basement, 2 bodies is better than 1. Would have been at least a little bit better from the let up of that. But after seeing her face like half shot off in the front, seeing the one in the basement, if I was the sheriff, I'd be like, okay, add it to the list. Like, I don't know. Also,
it was so hard to be afraid of the old people because they were so old. They were like at least 85, like probably 90.
I would say they were probably in their 90s, if not older. But they were unthreatening.
Yeah.
And there was tension built throughout the movie, but not surrounding them.
Yeah.
Like, there was some confusion with Pearl and whatnot. To be honest, I kind of think that scene where Pearl and Maxine talk decreased any tension built between the wife and that couple. Because the husband's like, don't bother my wife.
Yeah. And
it was like, okay, she's a psychopath. You know, you see her kind of beckoning from the house and you turn away from her. And then you look back, she's gone. Like, now I'm feeling threatened by her. Versus going in and your face, it's so, there's something about you. Now I'm like, who is this lady? Yeah. Like, why, you know, it made her less scary.
The trailers really made it seem like the woman was a threat and the husband was trying to keep her back and like she was going to haunt them or something.
That would have been way more interesting.
Yeah.
Listen, if I kind of thought that was the case for a little while, until he locks Jenna Ortega in the basement. And then he starts also killing them, and I was like, why?
Yeah.
You know, if she was just going around trying to kill them all, like, that would have even been a little bit better. We've already tweaked this movie to be a whole point better in my book.
But yeah, the woman's so old. She fires a shotgun, misses, falls, and like probably breaks her hip. And I just am like, how can you expect me to be threatened by this character? Even with a gun, they're more of a danger to themselves.
I also want to know, they have her move kind of quickly in certain instances. I just don't see it.
Yeah.
You know, she pokes out Wayne's eyes and then immediately is on the other side of the barn walking through. Took away, ruined the movie magic a little.
Yep.
And also just her getting around anywhere.
The pitchfork effects for that were like 1970s level bad. Is shit you'd see in Friday the 13th. It was bad.
See, but I liked it because of that. I'm not saying it wasn't good. It was bad, but it was Friday the 13th slasher level bad.
Yeah.
You know, it's what I expect from a slasher film, which I don't think this really was a slasher. Was it? I don't know.
It was fairly like it was vaguely slasher, yeah.
Vaguely, yeah. I don't know.
The crocodile was one of the worst parts of the movie. It was like it was there almost as build up to show the area is dangerous, but we already had established in the cold open that it was dangerous. So it didn't add anything. And then the death was just so comical. Like, it was just waiting there.
Listen, if we hadn't seen the alligator previously, and then she died by an alligator, would have made sense. I didn't need to be introduced.
I would have called
threat.
that obnoxious and stupid if she just fell in the water and got alligatored, and the movie expected me to just accept that.
Okay, that's fair. But it could have been done differently, because at one point, Mia Goth is in the water, and the alligator's just, like, following behind her so far away. Alligators are fast swimmers. She would not have escaped that. That's some BS right there.
They are, but a lot of their attack is just kind of chilling.
Okay.
They're pretty lazy.
Interesting. It's not what I heard when living in Florida with alligators on the property.
I mean, yeah.
But also, no one got hurt, so I guess...
I mean, they're aggressive and will kill you. It's just, like, a lot of times they're just kind of like, let me just, and they just float.
Did I tell you that I where I used to live in Florida, there was, like, alligators, like, right outside my door?
In Disney, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the Everglades. They'll be doing that.
I never got to see one, which I would say is a good thing, but my first apartment was not near them, and then they moved us directly to where alligators were, and I was like,
they called it Alligator Road.
They called it Alligator Pond, because there was
joking.
No, but there was a pond, and that's where the alligators were.
Okay.
And by pond, I mean it was a really small body of water.
And they lived there?
There was like a drain that the alligators would come in, they would hang out in the water, and then they'd leave.
Okay.
That's where they were.
So Lorraine Dying, she like gets out of the basement. She's like, I'm getting out of here. The instant she leaves the basement, I'm like, they're just going to blindside us with her getting shot or stabbed. And sure enough, I was halfway through writing the note that Lorraine Dying is predictable when it happened.
Yeah. Well, the fact that she escaped through that door told me she was dying.
Yeah.
If she escaped through the other door, I might have been like, oh, she's gonna make it. I think her chances were better through the second door. I don't know why she chose that door to try and cut herself out, but...
What else did you not like about this movie?
The ending was lame.
It was. It really let out all the tension that had been building.
I will say the tension was medium. Like, it did... There were some really great moments where it built tension. Other moments were meh.
Maybe tension's the wrong word. It built up to something really cool and then just didn't deliver. Yeah,
I wouldn't say it was tension, but there was definitely a building sensation. It was a bit of a letdown. Mm-hmm. I know we already talked about the makeup, but the fact that Mia Goth played the old woman, hated it.
Yeah, it
beyond the makeup, it just was like dumb.
We could pick up on the theme that woman was jealous that she saw herself in Maxine. We could see that without having to be like, oh, it was actually her in makeup. They also
they had pictures of young Pearl, and it was obviously Mia Goth. It was they could have, as a lot of movies will do that, but they'll have a different person play the old person because as you age, your looks change.
Yep.
It was dumb.
Mm-hmm. There was also no in the story explanation of why they were identical. It wasn't like she was Maxine from the past or something. It truly was just the director trying to convey that Pearl saw herself in Maxine.
Yeah.
One of the worst parts of this movie is the landslide scene. They're like, are you ready, Jackson? I don't remember the guy's name. Jackson Hole, maybe? Yeah. So he's like, yeah, and he starts playing. It's like, do-do-do-do-do-do. And I'm like, is that Landslide?
I recognized
it. By Fleetwood Mac?
I recognized Landslide right away. And
I did too, and my brain just dismissed it. It was like, no, that's stupid. It's not Landslide. Keep listening.
Right, that literally maybe a few seconds later, Carter just literally out loud though goes, "Is that Landslide?" And I was like, "Yeah, dude." And then Brittany Snow started singing. I liked the cover. It had no place in this movie.
I was like, that can't be Landslide, even as he's playing it. And then Brittany Snow's like, "I took my love and I took it down." And I'm like, oh my god, why?
It was a really long scene. They did a good chunk of the song. Also, they did it with shots, like different shots that kind of looked like a montage / flashback / like moment, and it was bad.
They had it cut with like Pearl just kind of looking sad. And if you haven't heard Landslide, you probably have. But if you haven't, it's essentially partially about getting old. At its core, I think the song is about, I think it's about moving on after a divorce. The chorus goes, or maybe it's the bridge. It goes, well, I've been afraid of changing because I've built my life around you. But time makes you bolder. Even children get older, and I'm getting older too. The song is like about getting older and feeling like you missed out, and essentially like, what do I do now? Thematically, I can figure out that that's about Pearl without you constantly showing me Pearl's face while they're covering this song. Enough. I get it. Yeah. Beauty is fleeting. You literally said the phrase, beauty is fleeting earlier in this movie. I got it. Enough.
I love when you get heated, especially over a song by a band you like.
Yeah. And it's not even, I enjoyed the cover too. I just didn't think it belonged.
It didn't. It really felt out of place. I would put it on par with as bad as the montages from Velocipaster were. That's how much I didn't like it.
Yeah, that wasn't great.
No.
It's hard to, you can't compare things to Velocipaster though. Every part of Velocipaster was bad.
Fair. That's true.
The porn cinematography, they make a big deal about talking about how this isn't going to be a dirty film. This is going to be a dirty movie, or maybe vice versa. Probably they said film, but it was supposed to be like, this is like, it's actually going to look cool. There will just happen to be sex in it. And it was some of the worst cinematography I've ever seen.
That was the joke.
Like, it would be so zoomed in, you couldn't see anything.
That was the joke.
And I mean zoomed in on like a guy just standing there. I'm not talking about zoomed in on sex.
Right.
It was absurd.
Yeah, it was bad. That was funny. But then that takes away from the movie because now I'm thinking about how bad the cinematography is for this fake porno they're making.
It wasn't like, if it was acceptable, it wouldn't be an issue for me. But it was like handled in a way that made it seem like they're trying to make it look bad intentionally. And it's just distracting.
Yeah.
Pearl had dolls. They served absolutely no purpose except to make her seem creepy.
Don't understand that.
She wanted to look creepy, I guess.
Pissed me off.
Yeah.
Really mad about it. Anyways.
And then lastly, one of my final issues with this movie is when Wayne is walking through the barn, he steps on a board with a nail in it. First of all, it's extremely clear that the board is there. It's like a different color. There's a beam of moonlight on it.
It's highly visible.
Yeah. Second of all, he stepped on it, immediately saw the like light move, crawled over there and was killed. There was no purpose to it. It wasn't like now he can't run away. He just as easily could have not stepped on it and the movie would progress the exact same way.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't know. I did really like the shot, though, of him stepping onto the nail, because it was filmed from the angle of being down close by the foot. Like, it was pretty interesting. Interesting is a strong word. I thought it was a decent shot, but it was unnecessary. You are correct. I think I've just expressed my biggest issues already.
So we're going to talk about the spooky?
Yeah.
The spooky! Overall, it's a pretty spooky movie. There's very little that really grabbed me, made me feel scared. I did like when RJ's trying to leave and he sees Pearl just kind of standing there in the dark. The van is blasting Don't Fear the Reaper. And so he gets out and the music gets a little muffled. And he goes over and he like reaches out and right as he touches her, the camera cuts to a shot from within the van. And obviously the music's a lot louder. And so that kind of made me jump. It was like almost a jump scare, except more of a fake out. I thought that was pretty clever.
Yeah, I thought the movie was pretty spooky. The same scene, but for different reasons, different things. Pearl dancing after just stabbing this guy over and over again was like so spooky to me. I was like, dang, what a switch.
But that ties into what we were talking about with her being really unfinished character.
I agree.
They're like, look at her, she's crazy, she's dancing like her youth, and then she's also just doing it for sex. It was just all over the place.
Listen, if we didn't get this whole side plot of her desires and she just went around like trying to seduce them and kill them and then starts dancing like over their corpses,
I would still have a lot of issues with it. I just agree that it would have made more sense.
I think it would have been.
I don't think it would have been better, but
I think it would have.
Okay.
But that's why we have a podcast and don't write movies.
So
yeah, some other creepy parts, but to be honest, it was fine.
Are you ready to talk about your overall ratings?
Yeah.
So the movie starts really great, has a great middle, but it builds up so well to just nothing interesting. From our review, it probably makes it sound like we hated it. I actually quite liked it. I didn't even hate the ending. I was just disappointed with what it could have been. It was a pretty decent movie all the way through. Just could have had a few changes and been great.
That's fair. I was very disappointed by it, and the movie was disconnected, and I'm disconnected from it. So I think my rating's a little harsher than Carter's, but I will say it wasn't a waste of time watching it.
So the Joseph DeStasio Memorial Line highlight is after they filmed the first sex scene. They're like talking about how great it is. And Wayne goes, "We're going to be rich. Feel how hard my cock is." And he like takes the RJ, the director's hand, and just puts it on his crotch. And RJ just like doesn't even seem particularly bothered by it.
He's excited about the prospect of being rich.
Yeah. So I just thought that was a funny, I did like a spit take watching it.
It was funny. It was good. All right, time for our ratings.
Okay.
I gave it a 5. I wish I gave it a 3 so I could give it, 3. Oh, I guess there was 4 sex scenes, huh? Well, I give it a 5 anyways. A 5. I forgot the second part of the rating. Disappointingly, I give it a 5. No comment.
I give it a 6 Jenna Ortegas. I don't have anything clever about it. It's just, I like Jenna Ortega.
I like Jenna Ortega too.
I still think she was a terrible choice to be the like Drew Barrymore in the Scream remake.
I agree with that.
Should have been fucking Tom Holland. Anyway. Also, she was a notably worse actress in Scream.
Yeah.
Way worse.
She was good in this movie.
Yeah.
We praised her acting in Scream though.
Yeah, but even still, she was a lot worse.
Yeah, no, she was pretty good. She was really good in this. The acting overall was good beyond the old couple.
Yeah.
But anyways, that's it. The next movie we're going to be doing is Halloween Ends. Carter's very disappointed about it.
It's going to be so bad.
That's the point, Carter.
I know.
Do we not have a podcast dedicated to bad movies?
I know. But it's not going to be a good bad. The last one was so bad.
I know. Oh my gosh.
Also, wait a minute. Wasn't it like... Did it come out like 6 months ago?
What?
The second to last Halloween movie.
No, it came out last October. It's been a whole year.
Are you sure?
Yes.
I remember didn't we do Horror Sucks?
No.
An episode on it?
No, we did. You're thinking of Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
You're right. Yep. So I guess it has been a year.
But yeah, no. Funny story. About the second one, I was dating this guy and he went to go see it and was like, "Oh man, like it was so good, blah, blah, blah." And then Carter and I went to go see it and was like, "This sucked." And I told the guy I was dating it was bad. And he was like, "No, it was so good."
It was so bad.
We stopped seeing each other after that.
The movie was just insanity. Like, they start hunting Michael Myers. That's like the biggest part of the movie. Can you think of anything less scary than turning like a hunter into the hunted?
No.
Like, isn't that the concept behind people being hunted for sport? Isn't that why it's scary? Is you think you're an apex predator and all of a sudden, no, you're being hunted? Yeah, they like grouped up and tried to murder him.
And it didn't work.
Yeah, it didn't work, but I was like, this just makes him not scary.
Yeah. I'm also not looking forward to this movie, but you know what I am looking forward to?
Me sighing heavily as we watch it.
our themed Halloween energy drinks.
Oh yeah, we are gonna crack open those bad boys, aren't we? Ashton and I currently own 2 Halloween-themed energy drinks. Halloween the movie.
Save them as a collectible.
We'll save the cans.
Yeah. Okay, good.
All right.
All right, well, thank you all for listening.
Hopefully we'll be a lot angrier next episode.
I think we got decently heated in a few moments this episode. If you liked what you heard, hopefully you did, you can, leave us a rating or
go on our website.
Yes, you can find our website at horrorsex.com. Should be up by the time this episode released. I know
Didn't
I said
you say that months ago?
I said that. Well, yes, I've been saying that, but I also said that last episode too. But it definitely will be available.
Awesome.
At this episode. You can also find us on Instagram. Also, make sure to sign up for our weekly email. We're gonna give you your horror scope, and we also are having a contest running through November for anyone who signs up. Okay, that's it. Thank you all for listening, and
stay spooky.
Horror Sex is brought to you by Wild Thing Media, editing done by Carter Rhodes, and music and production done by Ashley Atkins.